This is the INTEX 263733EH Ultra XTR rectangular above-ground swimming pool set, measuring a massive 32 feet by 16 feet and standing 52 inches tall. The pool has a classic rectangular shape that instantly stands out in any backyard and, in my opinion, really gives your outdoor space a high-end, inviting look. I know a lot of people are a little unsure about going with an above-ground pool this big, and honestly, I was too at first. I wondered how tough the installation would be, if it would last past one season, and if the maintenance would just eat up all my free time. So in this quick review, I want to share my real experience owning and setting up this pool for 3 years. What's worked, what surprised me, and what I wish I'd known earlier, especially if you're a regular homeowner who's never installed a pool like this before. When you get this pool, the first thing you'll notice is its size and weight. The box itself is seriously heavy, almost 490 pounds, so you'll definitely need a couple of extra hands just to move it and unpack all the parts. The frame is made from galvanized steel, which just means it's coated to prevent rust, and the walls are made from super tough 3-ply PVC. Honestly, my biggest concern was durability because, with little kids running around, dogs, and the weather, it just seemed too easy for an above-ground pool to get damaged. But after 3 full summers and 3 tough winters, I can say this pool holds up way better than I expected. The steel frame still feels solid, and the vinyl has resisted all the usual wear and tear. Setting this pool up is where I admit things can get tricky if you're not ready. The easy lock system actually does make the assembly faster, since all the frame parts snap together and you don't need any extra tools or those tiny fasteners that always go missing. Now, some places and ads will say you can get it ready for water in about 90 minutes. From my experience, that's only true if you've got a perfectly flat, prepped surface and a couple of extra people helping you. For most of us, getting the ground level is by far the hardest task. If your backyard isn't completely flat, take your time with this step. It is important because if you try to set up on uneven ground or directly on grass, you'll almost definitely end up with a pool that feels lopsided, or worse, the legs might sink when filled with water. I didn't want to pour a whole new concrete pad, and so to prep, I went to the hardware store and bought thick insulation foam boards, 1 inch thick, and put them under the pool before setting it up. This helps make the bottom feel smoother and protects the liner from rocks or sharp objects hiding in the grass. Ever since, we don't feel rocks under our feet, and it's way more comfortable to walk on, which is a nice unexpected bonus. Filling the pool is another commitment because the capacity is over 14,000 gallons. It can take several hours, even with good water pressure, and you really want to check that your filter system and all fittings are snug before you finish. One key feature is the crystal clear sand filter pump that's included. This is what actually keeps your water looking clean and clear, with sand inside the filter, trapping all the junk you don't want to swim in. Unlike a regular filter cartridge, you don't need to change the filter nearly as often, which is great. You just backwash, which means you reverse the water flow for a few minutes to clean out the sand, and the pump is back to doing its job. I personally upgraded my set to a larger 24-inch sand filter pump with a 1.5 horsepower motor since I have a lot of swimmers during parties, and the bigger pump moves more water faster. For most people, though, the standard 2,800 gallons per hour pump that INTEX includes is more than enough. I also want to talk about the ladder. The one that comes with the pool is plastic and does the job, but honestly, it's a bit wobbly for adults. I always felt a little uneasy climbing in and out, especially when it's wet. If you have the budget, I'd recommend getting a sturdier in-pool ladder. It just feels safer for everyone, especially if kids or grandparents are using the pool. Over the years, I've made a few tweaks to keep the pool level and help the frame last longer. I placed concrete pavers under each of the vertical legs. This stops them from sinking into the ground, especially after it rains, and gives everything a more secure, level foundation. If you skip this and just put the legs on the grass or bare dirt, they might start to sink under the weight, which messes up the pool shape and can get dangerous. Cleaning and maintenance is about what you'd expect. You need to keep an eye on the water chemistry, things like pH and chlorine levels, so that the water stays safe and clear. I use a basic testing kit from the pool store, and once you get the hang of it, it's not much trouble. Once a week, I'll clean out the basket that catches leaves and bugs, and I backwash the sand filter when the water pressure gets high. Every now and then, I'll vacuum the bottom with a pool vacuum, just to get out any dirt or debris that settles. During winter, I don't bother taking the pool down. Instead, I drain the water just below the skimmer line so the pipes won't freeze and crack. Then I toss on a winter cover and let it be. This pool survived some pretty rough winters, including weeks of heavy snow and layers of ice almost as thick as my hand. The frame didn't bend or rust, and the liner didn't split from the cold, which honestly surprised me. That's thanks to all the coated steel parts and UV protection built into the material. As for the look, the graphite gray outer shell and blue tile pattern liner actually look really modern in my backyard, way more high-end than the inflatable pools I used to have. Over time, the color does fade a bit from the sun exposure, but the material still feels strong. The pool stays inviting with crystal clear water every summer. In my opinion, this pool is perfect for families, people who love hosting summer get-togethers, or anyone who wants a big swimming space without going for a permanent in-ground pool. I'd recommend this for anyone who's willing to spend a weekend getting the ground ready and isn't afraid of doing a little regular maintenance afterward. It really does become a centerpiece for backyard fun. There's plenty of space to swim, play games, float, or just relax. New pool owners sometimes ask about safety and noise. I find the pump is quiet enough that it doesn't disturb anyone sitting around the yard. And as long as you keep the area clear and add a locking gate to your ladder or fencing. If you have kids, it's pretty easy to keep everyone safe. The only real drawbacks I've run into are that the initial setup demands a lot of work, especially if your ground isn't already level, and the included ladder isn't very stable for heavy or frequent use. Like I said, if you have extra space and can prep a flat area, you won't regret the upgrade. From my experience, this pool is a great investment that brings a lot of joy every summer. The maintenance becomes routine after the first few weeks, and the whole setup looks great, works great, and most importantly, holds up year after year. You just need to remember that the setup takes some real effort and proper preparation. But after that, it's a breeze, and the fun is endless. In conclusion, if you're considering the INTEX Ultra XTR Deluxe Rectangular Above-Ground Pool, and you're willing to get through the initial effort, I don't think you'll regret it. It's durable, looks awesome, is easy to maintain, and big enough for pretty much anything you'd want to do. I hope my experience helps answer some common questions and eases some worries if you're on the fence about getting a pool this size. If you found this quick review helpful, please subscribe to my channel and leave any questions or thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.